One of the things that I want to talk with you guys about today is understanding the process, and that process being from the start to the end of producing a transcript. If any of you have a question, please do chat it to me and I would be very happy to answer it. Okay, so when we are in the beginning of getting a job started, the first thing that we always do is create a new job. When we are creating the new job, one of the most important things that we have to do is make sure that we have selected the correct style. For you guys, we only have one style right now, and that is the TNT Juvenile Court Hearing style. And when you are actually going to be dictating a job, you are going to want to place all of the names of the speakers right here in the speakers list. They should be typed out the way that you want to see them in the transcript. I don't know if you guys call the judge the court, as we do here in the States, or if you refer to the judge as the crown, which is what is done in Canada and in England. But either way, that's normally what you're going to make this the first speaker. And then if you have a district attorney or someone that represents the crown or the court, that's usually going to be speaker 2, the person asking the questions for the state. Then the person that is asking questions for the defense will normally be speaker 3. And then you may have many other players, such as, especially for the juvenile court project, you may have someone that represents the child. In the States here, I believe it's called the guardian ad litem. I'm not sure if you use the same term, but anyone who speaks at all during the hearing, you are going to want them represented in the speakers list. Now, you know, because you've already been in the dictate screen, that you can add these speakers from within the screen. So that's not a problem if you don't get them added as you're creating the new job. Normally, I will give a title to the job that reflects the actual case name. So if it's, you know, the state versus, you know, Thomas White, you could put that there. The note field is just for you. If you'd like to use it for some sort of a note that is relevant to you or when it's due, you may use that. And of course, the case should always be set to none. Oh, you're not seeing. Thank you so much for letting me know. Let me make sure that. Here you go. Thank you very much. Amina, I appreciate it. Okay, so here is the new job screen. So again, all of the speakers will be noted here. The job replacement fields here, these are all things that are going to fill in replacement fields that are in your cover or certificate pages. So you want to make sure that these are filled out. If you don't have all of that information when you're first starting a job, no worries. There's always time to come and add it later. You just have to remember that it needs to be added before you finalize. That way all of these fields will be merged into where they're supposed to be in the include directory setup. Now, we also have an acquire button here. What we do is we use the acquire button to go and get the audio. I know that your courts are using FTR Gold to record, and so I am unsure as to whether or not you will be able to acquire audio from FTR Gold and listen to it in the edit screen, or if you will have to run the FTR Gold player in order to listen to the audio. That's something we'll have to experiment with. But the acquire button is there normally simply to allow you to go and select audio. Okay, can you see? Not sure. Let me make sure you can see that screen. Here we go. So when you click on acquire, this screen shows up, and you can path to a place where your audio may be located. So for instance, I have audio in a certain place that I can go and select. And you can simply just select the actual audio file, and it'll come and tell you that it's been copied. And then you're ready to go into the edit screen. Yeah. So that you can start dictating. Now, make sure you're seeing the screen. Okay. I want to show you something. If ever you get into the screen and it looks like this, or even like this, so that you don't see the speakers, know that they could be hidden, and you may have to expand the screen from the left from the right toward the left. Everywhere there are these light blue lines is where we can move the screens. And so you always want to make sure that you see the volume over on the left, and that has to be all the way to the right in order for you to hear the audio that you have acquired. And then once you're here, it's a matter of opening the screen with the ability, because it did not ask me just then to open a screen with, it did not ask me to open the speech engine. And if it doesn't ask you to open the speech engine, you cannot dictate. And again, it's not asking me. I'm going to go and check my options. And as you can see, here's the problem with my options. On the SRE tab, it says never load speech engine when scoping. What I actually want selected is prompt to load speech engine when scoping. I'm going to click apply and OK. And now when I go in, I should be able to check the scope loads the speech engine and click on OK. And that's when Dragon is going to load. But it did not load. I want to show you something a little different today. I've acquired an audio file to this job, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask Dragon to transcribe it for me. So there's only one file. I want it transcribed with scope. I'm going to click on OK. I'm going to select the proper user and click on Open. And what I'm going to do here is I'm not going to be dictating. Actually, well, I guess that wasn't a good one to use because it didn't translate anything. Oftentimes, you can take an audio file that you have dictated and let Dragon listen to your voice and translate it into text. I'm going to exit out of here, and I'm going to go into, let's see. And this is probably where you guys have been doing most of your correction. Do any of you have any questions in regards to doing correction mechanism? Okay, Kim. Thank you, Michelle. What is your question, Kim? Okay. One of the audio files, when you were correcting, was repeating a line several times, even though you only said it once. Okay. Now, first I want to address the question of a repeated line, listening to a repeated line several times, even though you only said it once. And the original dictated was not on the file. That part I don't understand. Okay, when you are doing correction and you hit Control K or you click on the correction button, does it automatically play back for you one time, Kim? Okay, so yes. Okay, so the question is, as you are doing correction, when you hit page down to go to the next utterance, do you automatically hear the playback of the audio one time for each question? Okay. I'm going to bring up Dragon by itself, and I'd like for you all to bring up Dragon with me. Can you all open Dragon Naturally Speaking? Select your user and click on Open. Okay, you should all be able to see the Dragon bar on the very top of my screen. If you would all click on Tools and go to Options, discuss your Dragon options with you. Okay, while we're waiting for Dragon to load with some people, I'm going to answer a few of the other questions. Okay, Maureen asked a very good question. When making corrections, should we insert punctuation before we push through the utterance? The answer to that question is you may only insert punctuation if you dictated the punctuation. If you did not dictate the punctuation, you should not insert it as you are doing corrections. When you are finished with the correction process and you have pushed your utterances through to the engine and the text turns blue, that is when it's okay to add punctuation because you've already taught Dragon what it needs to know. But the basic rule of correction is you cannot insert anything that you did not dictate. Not until you're done with the correction portion of the screen. Now there was another question, is there any way I can shorten my utterances when correcting? Because it seems so long and I miss out on some errors and I have to keep replaying it many times. That is true, Stacy. Yes, that does happen. And it will continue to happen until you get better at managing your breathing and your dictation. When Dragon doesn't know you very well yet, it tends to drop down very large utterances. You can make your utterances smaller by dictating punctuation or simply by taking a breath. As you correct, as you do more correction on everything that you dictate, you will notice your utterances begin to get smaller. However, what you're going to see, because you are constantly increasing your speed, is that it may continue to make large utterances if you are not correcting everything that you're doing at each speed level. And I see here that Amina is asking, some of the videos in real time are missing some of the audio. Also, I am unable to say QCO or ACO in the question and answer videos. This causes me to lose percentage. When I say QCO and ACO, the video freezes. No problem. If it is causing you to have lower percentage of accuracy, you don't have to say the QCO and the ACO. It's absolutely fine that you not do that. Now, if it is a question or a question and answer type video where someone is asking a question and another person is providing an answer, Real-Time Coach may require you to have a question or an answer in your takedown, and so I will ask Real-Time Coach about that, and I'll get back with you guys on that. It may very well be that we have to just create a certain marker or maybe a certain style for Real-Time Coach that doesn't put in the asterisk A asterisk or the asterisk Q asterisk. So that's a good question, and I will definitely look into that. Let me make a note of that really quick about the Q and A making the video freeze. And if there is a video that you're doing that repeats over and over, and it's doing that for everyone, please just send me a text and let me know what the name of the video is, because there may be a problem with that video on the Real-Time Coach site. So I will definitely look into that. Isn't coming up in Transcriptionist. So your question and answer is coming up in Real-Time Coach, but it is not coming up in Transcriptionist. Ah, okay. Now everything else, the other words are coming in. Just not the Q&A? Okay, great. Thank you for that answer. I'll definitely investigate that for you guys. Okay, let's all You should all now be at the options window, looking at the first set of options under the topic of correction. Please make sure that your screen resembles mine with the options that I have checked. Okay, Juanita, the last 4 videos in Real-Time Coach, you said you were marked, but in the review, nothing is showing up. Does that mean that when you click on check transcript, you're not seeing your error rate and your accuracy rate and all of that? Is that what's going on? When you click on check transcript, it is showing up. But is it not in your transcriptionist window? Is the text not in transcriptionist when you're done? When you click on transcription, when you click on the transcript, it is showing up, but not at the end where you see all videos. I see a timer icon. You may need to have me dial in and look at that, Juanita, because I'm not understanding exactly. Dictate to active window. Let's make sure all of our options are correct, everyone. On the correction tab, make sure that automatically add words to the active vocabulary is checked. Automatic playback on correction is checked. Show smart format rules is checked. Show only the choices is checked. Anchor is checked. And enable double click to correct is checked. If you have made any changes, click on apply. If you have not made any changes, apply will not be available. So now let's click on the commands tab. This is really important. All of these things need to be deselected. Everything on this page, there should be no check marks. If you've made any changes, click on apply. Let's move to the appearance tab. Now on the appearance tab, we'll begin from the top. It should say docked to top. Then you should have show extras checked. Anchor should be checked. Show preliminary results should be checked. And under auto hide delay, make sure it says never hide. We don't make any changes on the hotkeys tab or the playback text to speech tab. So we're going to skip right over those two and go to miscellaneous. Now, one of the things that you may want to do a little bit differently than me, I'm used to dictation. I've been doing this for 20 years. You are new to dictation, to listening and dictating. So you most likely want your slide bar more over toward fastest response. As you get better at dictating at higher speeds, you will be able to move your slide bar toward the center or even toward most accurate. But in the beginning, you want it to drop a little bit faster. I'd like you to have put the microphone to sleep after 120 minutes of silence. That is so that it does not go to sleep on you prematurely. You need to have alert when audio quality is low checked, and you need to have used the dictation box for unsupported applications checked. If you've made any changes, click on Apply. And let's go to the Data tab. Now, this tab is important because it determines how much you will be able to do correction on. By default, I believe it's 100 megabytes. Right here, I have it set at 1,000. We can increase that to 55. That way we'll have more audio to correct as we move deeper into the course. Please make sure that Run Accuracy Tuning at the time scheduled by your administrator is checked. Click on Apply. And of course, the first two options need to be checked as well. Okay, Maureen, you don't have the option to run accuracy tuning. Is that correct? Okay. Does anyone else have that problem? Yes, others have that problem as well. Okay, Juanita, okay. Ayana, Nikita, okay. So it looks like many of you don't have the option. To those of you who do not have the option, where it says save recorded dictation with document, does it say always there? Okay, so it does say always. Do you have a number, disk space reserved for playback? What was your number there? It was at 55, okay. Yeah, 1,000 before should have also still allowed you to run accuracy tuning. Okay, let's click on advanced and see if, can you please make sure that there is a check in create usability log? Click on OK, please. Okay. Can you all go to archive size and tell me if your archive size is set to the max at 180? I'd like everyone to check. Okay, so that is checked and it's at the max. Okay, great. Okay, so we're going to have to figure out why it is that you don't see the run accuracy tuning. Oh, and we don't have anything to do in Dragon Anywhere or the upgrade to legal. So we should just apply and okay. I'm gonna, let's all click on profile and click on save user profile. And we're going to allow our profiles to save. And then we are going to exit out of Dragon by clicking on profile and exit Dragon. I did a dictation earlier in Real-Time Coach so that I could have something to show you. Okay, automatic accuracy improvement came up. Okay, and you're asking, can it be ignored or should I select it? Please select it and allow that to happen. Yes. Yes, launch accuracy tuning. That's fine. Click on Run if that is the option that it's giving you. It will allow me to do a dictation in Real-Time Coach. Okay, so now that my screen is loaded in Dictate, I am going to turn on the microphone, and then I'm going to click on Dictate to Active Window, and then I'm going to go to Real-Time Coach. In the long history of the world, only a few generations have been granted the role of defending freedom in its hour of maximum danger. I do not shrink from this responsibility. I welcome it. I do not believe that any of us would exchange places with any other people or any other generation. The energy, the faith, the devotion which we bring to this endeavor will light our country and all who serve it, and the glow from that fire can truly light the world. And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country. My fellow citizens of the world, ask not what America will do for you, but what together we can do for the freedom of man. Okay, so what you're seeing now is that I earned 88% accuracy. I had 16 errors. It says I dropped 13 words. Group of 3, 11. Wrong words 3. Final S 1, other 2. Okay, so this is a pretty good score, though I certainly could have done better. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to close this screen, and that takes me back here to my transcriptionist screen. As you can see, as I have been speaking with you after the dictation, it is still writing what I'm saying because I have not yet turned off the microphone. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Now, I'd like to just show you correction. So what I do to start correction is I put my cursor at the beginning, and I can either hit Control K or I can click on the correction button. It's always going to say, you need a save. So I'm going to click on OK. In the long history of the world. In the long history of the world. So those are my first errors there. That's considered a drop. And then I can hit page down to go to the next. In its hour of maximum danger, only a few generations. In its hour of maximum danger, have been granted the role. Have been granted the role. Of defending freedom. In its hour of maximum danger. I do not shrink from this responsibility. I welcome it. That any of us, I do not believe that any of us would exchange places with any other people or any other generation. The energy, the faith, the devotion, which we bring to this endeavor will light our country and all who serve it, and the glow from that fire can truly light the world. And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country. My fellow citizens of the world, ask not what America will do for you, but what together we can do for the freedom of man. Okay. So, what you're seeing now is that I earned 88% accuracy. I had 16 errors. It says I dropped 13 words. Final last one, other two. Group of 3, 11. Wrong words, 3. Final last one, other two. Okay, so this is a pretty good score, though I certainly could have done better. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to close this screen, and that takes me back here to my transcriptionist screen. As you can see, as I've been speaking with you after the dictation, it is still writing what I'm saying because I have not yet turned off the microphone. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Okay. Now that I'm done with correcting this document, I'm ready to go to the Utterance Summary. It's going to ask me if I want to save the speech files. I'm going to say yes. And then I'm going to go through this process of listening to everything once again. Why? Because it is so important that we only save things that are exactly correct. So we make sure that the little right facing arrow is to the right. We hit play. In the long history of the world, I've been granted the role. Ask not. Ask not. It says I dropped 13 words. Final last one, other two. It is still writing what I'm saying because I have not yet. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Okay, so everything was correct. I'm going to click on correct. Okay, Stacy's asked a very good question, and you can all see the question. Is there any way, Stacy's basically asking, is there a find and replace? And yes, there absolutely is. You can do Control F. That will bring up the find box for if you want to find a word. You can also say replace with. So you could type in Maurice Bar to Murray's, you could type in Maurice Bar, and you could change that to Murray's Bar, and you just hit replace all, and it would replace it. Now, things like Georgetown. Georgetown is a city name, so that should be capped right away. It should be capped in your Dragon Dictionary. And to find out if it exists in your Dragon Dictionary, you can simply click on the vocabulary editor right here. And then type in what you want to see. You want to see if it's there. So I'm going to type in Georgetown. And there it is, Georgetown. So it should have come up in caps. Is that only possible in edit or correction? To see the vocabulary editor, yes, it's only possible when the speech engine is loaded, because that's the only time that Dragon's available to you. Now, let's say that there is, and no, it's not only possible with with when you're correcting something. Oh, the replace option, no. The replace option is available whether you're editing or doing correction. You can always use the replace option. Just make sure that when you're replacing, you're actually replacing something that is in fact true throughout. That's not always the case. Now, let's say that there's something that that is happening that you want to make happen all the time. We have a feature called real-time rules, and if you click on edit and go to real-time rules, you will see that there is a phrase list and a words list. Let's look at the phrases first. Oh, there may not be any in there yet. So let's say that every time I say yes, sir, I'm getting yes or. So I would say I wanted to find yes or, and I want to replace that with yes, comma, SIR, period. And I want that to be true unless yes or is followed by the word no. And I'm going to add the rule. I'm going to go ahead and add a section on real-time rules to the course for you. I'll do that probably tomorrow so that you can start playing with this tool. It's a great tool and you can create your own entries, but there will also be entries that you can automatically utilize that we've created by default. You're going to need to go in and look at the list and make sure that everything is applicable to you, but it's going to be very helpful. Now, let me address the issue of punctuation. Now I didn't dictate punctuation, so I didn't add any punctuation because I didn't dictate it. You only correct what is wrong between hearing what you said and looking at what was written. You only want to make sure that those things match. You cannot add punctuation if you did not dictate it while doing correction. But when you're done with correction, as I am now, I am done with correction. So if I wanted to, I could go ahead and I could add my punctuation. So I could listen to it again. Let's say here, I want to add a period. So if I do control period, it'll enter a period, 2 spaces, and cap the next word. I do not shrink from this responsibility, comma. I welcome it. That's another period, control period. I do not believe that any of us would exchange places with any other people or any other generation. Control period. The energy, comma, the faith. Now let's say I want to comma enclose this, the faith, because I need a comma before it and after. I would highlight it and do control, comma, and it automatically would put a comma before and after. The energy, the faith, the devotion, which we bring to this endeavor will light our country and all who serve it. And the glow from that let's just say we're going to put a period here, control period. And the glow from that fire can truly light the world, control period. And so, my fellow Americans, oops, I'm going to put a comma there. Ask not what your country can do for you, comma, ask what you can do for your country. Control period again. My fellow citizens of the world, maybe semicolon there. Ask not what America will do for you, but what together we can do for the freedom of man. Control period. And then this is a new paragraph, me just talking to you. And you can certainly do that. And so you'll notice that the text turns red when you're adding punctuation. That's because red text tells the end user that there have been changes made to the text that were not dictated or corrected via correction mechanism. All of this text is going to turn black when you dump into the word processor or move to the present phase. So it's really important that you all be working on correction, because what you need to be doing right now is really focusing on two primary things. I'm okay with you learning transcriptionist a little at a time. If you want to go ahead and finalize, bring in your cover pages, and maybe even, like, let me go ahead and do that. I'm going to go ahead and bring in the covers here. And I did not complete my replacement fields, so a lot is missing, as you can see. And there's some things you might have to straighten up a little bit. Here, I might want to put my name, Andrea Terrio, official transcriptionist, and in for blah, 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 blah. And then witness my hand on this 25th day of October. Control I to initial cap 2017. And okay. And so now I'm done. I can move to the word processor. I can put my name here too. Now I can hit save, and I can do job and present, and it'll bring me into, now this question here, present this job, and you see this open job with media controller. This allows you to listen to the audio again. If you're done and you don't need to listen to the audio again, simply remove the check before you click on OK. And you'll see down here in green, it says presenting, please wait. And then you'll see the Microsoft Word document open up down here. I think I'm having a problem because I already had Word open. So I'm going to go ahead and close all the Word. There we go. I think I already closed it. Let me just. So when you drop into Word, if you have all of your replacement fields filled in, this should look much more correct. Now, what I did not do was I did not make sure Thank you, Amina. Yes, I will certainly make this video available to you all. um, what you're seeing here is the layout that we've created as part of the style. Pardon me. And one of the things that I did not check was whether or not I had section breaks in the style the way that I have in the layout. So I'm going to make sure that that is correct by returning to the edit screen. Now, once you've moved to present, if you want to go back to edit, we need to hide the present file. This is something that is very easy to do once you know how to do it. But when you don't know how to do it, it's not easy. And I guess that's true for everything, isn't it? So I am going to click on View, Show Files. Now these are all the files for this particular job that I've created. Because I did not acquire sound files, rather I used real-time coach, there are no sound files recorded here. But there is a present document. Okay, so I want to highlight the present document. I'm going to have to move this screen. At the top of the screen, you see 3 icons that look like documents with sunglasses on. The last one is Hide, Unhide, Present File. If I click on that once, it's going to say the selected presented document is the current present file. Would you like to hide it? I'm going to say yes. You are not deleting this file. You are simply hiding it. Hiding it, I'm going to close out of Show Files, allows us to go right back in to edit it. I do not need to load the engine because I'm done with correction. So I'm just going to click on OK with no check mark in the checkbox. This allows me to come back. And if I want, I can clean up and I can add in whatever's missing. I'm just going to make some things up here. And really, you can treat it like a regular Word document, just moving things around, deleting things that you don't want, moving things around. That's just completely up to you. If you want it all centered, you can do that as well. Completely up to you. And the the way that you are going to be taught that a transcript should be turned in is of course going to be related to you by your instructors there, not by me. I'm only trying to make sure that you can create that transcript the way your employers will want it created. So this may be, held at the juvenile court, and then we may want to add a section break here or a hard page. Control Enter. We'll put a page break there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to save my job right now because I want to go and check my cover pages. So my cover pages, also called include pages, I can access via going to View, Include Directory Setup. I'm going to add a section break here. center this. I'm going to save it. Then I'm going to go into my certificate page, click on Open, select my style, OK. And here, I am going to begin the document with a section break. It is 2 asterisks. I'm going to add a title. Okay. Okay, now I'm going to save this. Oh, this isn't in the right font. It's supposed to be Arial. So let me go to Edit. Change font. Arial 12 regular. Okay. If I want this single spaced, I can highlight it and go Edit. Single space. There we go. I can save and exit. So now I've made some important changes. So I'm going to go back to Edit. Now, maybe before I do that, let me double click. I'm going to go to, I want to return to the new job screen, so I'm going to double click on it. And I'm going to go ahead and fill this information in because it's going to make for a much prettier document. I'm just putting random information in here. Okay, address of court and room. I'm just going to put 120 Courtway. Room C. Okay, so now I've got just about everything filled out except for the speaker information. So let's do that. I'm going to click on the speaker that I want to fill out information for, and I'm going to click on speaker information. Now, the neat thing about this is that every speaker that you enter will then live forever in your speaker information database. And I'll show you where you can locate that in a minute. But right now, let's go ahead and put in this gentleman's information. Now let's say that here we don't want it in all caps. We want it in sentence case. So that's what we're going to put it in. Sometimes lawyers, like in the US, they like Esquire after their name, so you can put it there. The judiciary or firm name, this would be your district attorney, the one representing the state. So it may be, you know, office of the state attorney, or it could be, let's see, Trinidad and Tobago. Juvenile Court. That's the name of the judiciary, and he represents the judiciary. And if you refer to his address, you can put that here. And whatever information, his telephone number, his email address, whatever. And then you do the same for Mr. Brown. And he is with Brown Jameson and Smith. And he represents the defendant. And his address is 130 West Mark Boulevard. And whenever you've had enough information, you can click on OK. Now, here, no, that's a clear speaker. Let me click on Apply here and OK. And it's from here, View, you can go to Speaker Information Maintenance, and every speaker that you have added will then be listed here, which is very nice because the next time you do a dictation and that attorney is a member of that case, then you will already have him in your speaker information maintenance. Should you want to come and add all of your speakers, all of the speakers you know about at any given time, you can do that from the speaker information maintenance as well. So now I'm going to return to edit. I do not need to load the speech engine. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete what I had put in previously because I want you to see how it comes in when you actually have your fields filled out the way you're supposed to. So here we go. All we have here is our text. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Job and Finalize. I'm going to allow it to bring in my covers, and I'm going to click on OK. Okay, so it's brought in everything. Now it's pushed some things over. Oops, here we go. And you can format it any way you need to, but it should be in proper format, as you can see here. And I'm going to go ahead and just put one enter there. Okay. Now I'm going to do a little something here. I'm just going to copy and paste this so that I can have more than one page of text. So it's redundant, but the point is just to be able to show you what it's going to look like in Microsoft Word. So now I'm done. I'm going to hit the Save Diskette. I'm going to click on Job and Present, at which point it asks me again if I want to open with the media controller. As I said earlier, if you want to listen to your audio again, leave the check. If you're done and you're confident that your text is correct, deselect. You don't need to open with media controller. I think I'm going to leave it checked just so that I can show you what it looks like, and I'll click on OK. Now notice that the word symbol is flashing at the bottom of my screen. Right, normally you should see this. It's the layout verification box saying that the layout has the correct number of section breaks. So I'm going to click on Open. I'm sorry, I mean OK is what I'm clicking on. Okay, so this is how your transcript is going to look at the end. And again, if anything is not right, if this is supposed to be left justified, you can do that. You can still make changes. You know, if you want it centered, you can do that too. You can make any changes you want to in the Word document. I see there's a question. Okay, Ayana is asking, the couple of times I finalized, it always says, I don't have the correct number of sections. What am I doing wrong? You're not doing anything wrong. Perhaps the section breaks that I just placed inside the cover pages were not inside your cover pages. And if that's the case, then it's my fault, not yours. And I will make a change to your style and send it to all of you on the Transcriptionist Skype thread. It's nothing you're doing wrong. It's probably that I didn't put the section breaks in your transcript where they belong, in your style where they belong. Okay, so I'm going to, isn't it nice to know that you didn't do something wrong, but I did? I think that's always quite a relief, isn't it? Okay, now the second page, what you're seeing here, I don't know if all of you know this, but this little symbol here in Microsoft Word is the show hide symbol, and when you turn it on, it shows you what your hard returns are, because there were some hard returns that were extra there that we needed to remove. And now that that's removed and I've centered proceedings, it looks way better. Now, I don't know how many lines per page you guys are supposed to have, but if you have too many, that's not a problem. We can fix that simply by changing our margins. So if we want to change the margins for the transcript so that we only have 25 lines per page, for example, we would go to Layout, Margins, Custom Margins. And normally if the top is 1.3 and the bottom is 1.3, that will give you 25 lines per page, which is common here in the US. But whatever, what we need to know is what is the right number for you guys. As long as we know what the right number for you guys is, I'll make sure that it's correctly reflected on your style when I send it to you. Now, you can see that here the certificate of the transcriptionist is on the last page. Everything is filled in. And if I want to see how it looks without all these marks in Word, I just go back to the Home tab and turn this off. And there you have it, your finished transcript. Now, if you're using Microsoft Word, and let's say that the court excuse me, wants you to turn in a document in PDF format, you can certainly do that. Microsoft Word makes that very easy now. Microsoft Word 2016, you can click on File and Print. And instead of actually choosing your printer, oh, see, I don't want this rolled over. So I'm going to go back. And I'm going to scroll down to make sure that everything is on that first page, because that's the way I want. If it's not, and let's say my logo's the problem. These are the things that we normally mess around with when we're first working with somebody until we have it exactly the way they want it. So this should fix the problem. Yes, it does. Okay, so I'm going to save. I'm going to go to File, Print. And instead of selecting the printer, I'm going to select Microsoft Print to PDF. And when I do that and I hit Print, it's automatically going to come up and say, oh, okay, so I'm going to print this to a file. Where would you like to save it? Normally what I do is I save documents that are in PDF to my documents folder, and I'll create maybe a specific folder for it. For instance, I'm going to click on New Folder here, and I'm going to type in completed transcripts in PDF. And I'll give my job a name, and notice that it's saving as type PDF, and I hit save. And then, just again, hit save in your Word document and close. Now you can also just print to a printer as well. You can do both if you'd like. So let me see. Trying to get to this recent question here. How to create an index and the information for the index, and if possible, when doing the new style. Can you please include index page in it? Thank you very much. Okay, Amina, that's a great question. I believe that I have created, let me see if I have an index file that I've already created that we can use. Okay, what I'm going to do, and this actually incorporates into one of the things you'll be studying soon, is I'm going to make a copy of your style, and with this particular new style, I'm going to add an index to it for when you need an index. So I'm going to go to edit and edit styles. I'm going to highlight TNT Juvenile Court Hearing, and I'm going to click on copy. And that now gives me a copy of TNT Juvenile Court Hearing. I'm going to open it. First thing I'm going to do is remove the words copy of. And I will call this the same exact thing, but I'm going to add the words with index. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll on over here to the layouts and includes pages. And I'm going to open the include page, and I'm going to do file, save as rich text file. And I am going to save this to my include file, but I'm going to call it transcript cover with index. Save. And I'm going to close. I'm going to browse because I'm going to go and select the one with the index. Click on open. Now, I'm going to go ahead and open this copy that I made, and I'm going to go on down to the second page before proceedings. Control V as in Victor to paste, and I'm going to highlight all of this, edit, change font, Arial 12, and I am going to add a section break. So I still have my index there. Might even bold the word index, bold exhibits index to make it stand out a little more. And you may not have to have volumes, it may be completely different for you. It just really depends on how the transcript should be created. I'm going to save this and I'm going to close. I've added another section. So this then affects the way my my layout will work. So I'm going to open my layout and I'm going to turn on Show Hide because I need to see all of my section breaks. I also need to make some changes that I noticed. I need to bring this up. So on my first section, this is just the title page. In the States, most title pages do not have page numbers. But starting as of page 2, almost everything has page numbers. And on the preceding section, there's almost always line numbers. So you can see here that we have page numbers, and we have line numbers in the second section. Now, what we really want, though, is the second section. Now, the new second section is going to have another section. So I'm going to insert another section break here by going to Layout, Breaks, Continuous. Oh no, we should use next page. I'm sorry. Insert breaks and we'll do next page. Okay. So now I have a new section number 2. And in this section, I don't want line numbers, but I do want page numbers. So the first thing I have to do is make sure that my sections are separated. So the only way I can do that is by going to the header and footer tools. So here I am, here's my first section. I'm going to go to next. And in my second section, I want to make sure that it is not connected to the previous one. So I'm going to go to my next section. Whenever you see same as previous, it means that it is linked to the previous section. We want to unlink it, so I'm going to click on it once so that disappears. That way section 2 and section 3 are not in fact connected. So if I go to footer, I want to unlink it in the footer as well. I'm going to go to the next section. Section 4, I want to make sure that in both the header and the footer, it is not connected to the previous. Okay. So all of my sections should be on their own now. And this is now my preceding section. And this becomes the index section. Now, we do not want line numbers on the index. So I'm going to go to Layout, Line Numbers, None. But I'm going to make sure that the page number is still there because I want my index pages numbered. And then I want to make sure, let's see, I need to bring the section break up. I'm just going to delete all these empty lines until I see my section break. Very good. So this is actually my index section now, which pushes my preceding section down. Here we go. Make sure that it's got enough of a margin to fit 25 lines per page there. Perfect. And then in my last section, where my certificate page is, I want page numbers to continue at the bottom. And I want the judiciary's logo at the top. If you guys actually work for the judiciary, then you would likely want the logo on the certificate page. And now I know that this is actually correct. So I am going to remove all of the extra spaces in the document. This is not something that you guys are going to have to do, because once the layout is correct, then every time you drop in to your document into Microsoft Word, all of this will automatically be done for you and it will be correct. So what we want to do is we just don't want to have extra lines in the document, because that will show when you bring in your transcript. So I'm just taking all these extra lines out, and I'm going to do File, Save As, and I'm going to call this 4 because I have 4 sections. And I think I'm going to add the words with index, so that we'll know the difference between them. And I'm going to hit Save. And I'm going to close out of Word. And now back at the style, I'm going to click on Browse. It'll take me to my choices for layouts, and I'm going to click on the one with the index and click on Open. And that way I know that the index will be inside this particular file. And on the index page, we have listed what will be indexed with what. So I'm going to click on Apply, and let me make sure that this matches my index file. So witnesses, yeah, see, this isn't the same, so I'm going to move some of these down. Okay, so this will be the general index. We have to make note of what each list represents. Oh, this is incorrect. This needs to be 9. So the general index. And this style will be made available to you also. Please don't concern yourselves with trying to follow me as I rapidly go through this. There's a lot to cover. This will be available to you. I'm going to post it this evening when we're all done. So, okay, let's go up a little bit. So, exhibits on behalf of the defense. This is just an option, by the way, everyone. Your index, you may start to create transcripts, and a person who really matters will say, that's not how I want my indexes, and they'll tell you how to do it. And certainly their opinion is much more important than mine. Okay, so witnesses for the defense. It's number 3. Witnesses for the plaintiff or the state. It's number 2. And 1 must be just a general beginning index. Okay, and so I'm going to apply and okay. And I noticed an error, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open my style back up. And I'm going to go into Layouts and Includes. And I'm going to go down to my index. And see here, I have 8 and 8 here. This should be 9. Okay, so we've saved this, and we can now exit. and apply and OK. So we've got this index now. Let me go do one other thing. I'm going to copy the index so that if you find that you have got to add an index after the fact, we want to be able to just import the index by itself. So I'm going to create an index page, save and exit. I'm going to go to View, Include Directory Setup. Let's see if this is the same index. So we probably want to save this, but we're going to Control A and go to change the font. Okay, so now we have an index file. So we need an index file in order to create an index, and we also need to actually add things to our index. Let me see if there's any text in here. Okay, so normally when you're going to create an index, what you want to do is bring the index in. You can do that by inserting cover pages, by finalizing. I'm going to browse to the one with the index, the cover with the index. And click on OK. That way it'll bring in my index as well. Now I didn't fill in the cover pages, the replacement fields on this, so that's not complete, but my index is here. Now, as I'm going through my final, this is after you've done correction, after you've pushed your corrections through to the engine and you've done your editing, meaning that you've come in and you've added your punctuation using all these great hotkeys that we have here, and you add your indexes by saying you highlight something. So let's say that I want United States and NSA's discovery. Let's say that I want to add that to my index. So I hold down the Alt key, I hit the I key, because that brings up index, and then you can add it to whichever list you want. Now this particular style that I'm using here doesn't have the same indexes applied to it, so don't be confused by that. When you go in and you'll see the proper titles for each index page, you just click on it and it automatically will add it to what we call the virtual index. If I go to Index, Show Index Page, and I slide across to show index page 1, what I highlighted is there along with the page number that it was on when it was highlighted. You can edit inside this screen as much as you would want to do that. Don't change the pages. You can always have transcriptionists do that for you. If you have edited so much that your page numbers have changed, then you would do index, refresh indexes, and it would refresh the page numbers that your indexes are on. And so doing indexing is something that we do in the last phase of our transcript before we bring it to present. And you can find on our YouTube channel a video on creating an index. I'm I'm going to just go there and show you where to find it. Well, I will link it. I will link the right one to the index portion in Transcriptionist for you so that you don't have to wait for that. Okay, here's the creating the index section of Transcriptionist that I want you to go through this week. I will link the video to it momentarily so that you can go and watch the video of how to create an index. That will assist you. And I see that our time is drawing to a close. I want to thank you as always for your participation and for the hard work that you are all doing. I want you to keep up the fantastic work. By tomorrow, the video has to render, but by tomorrow, I will have this video rendered and I will have it available as well for you to watch. And I appreciate you all, and I thank you all for just really being fantastic students. And I look forward to you all continuing. Yes, go ahead and ask the questions, Rochelle. I want you all to continue working on your speed and your accuracy by doing more dictations that are assigned there for you. Now, one of the things that I want you to realize is if you have any problems with a dictation, for instance, it repeats or it stops, I want you to let me know that that has happened and what file it's happened for, and I want you to move on to a different one. Do not bother correcting a job that you were not able to complete in real-time coach, because I want you to be able to make note of your accuracy in real-time coach, and I want you to make note of your error rate, because that's going to tell us how well you're doing. It's going to tell you how well you are doing. Okay, can we arrange a day and time for the guest lecture? We will need to arrange a day and time for the guest lecture. We do have at least 3 more Wednesday sessions. I know that my trainer was with us a little bit this evening, though she was quiet. She was with us, and so I will ask and see if she can maybe join us and speak with you all about breathing and other dictation techniques, possibly even next Wednesday, so that you don't have to arrange a different day and time. I'll talk to her about that, and I'll get back with you all, hopefully in the next few days via the Transcriptionist Skype meeting. And just so that you guys all know, the meeting ID is the same every week. So all you have to do is log on to Zoom and use the exact same meeting ID every week in order to be with us. And again, I thank you. We have at least 3 more Wednesdays. I actually was planning on 6 more Wednesdays because of the fact that your masks are delayed, because of the problems of us waiting on back-ordered microphones. So I've extended. Can we meet earlier on Wednesday for the guest? Oh, perhaps for your time. That may very well be possible, yes. So let me talk to her and see. That would definitely make it more convenient for her, because sometimes she does have to go to a school in her area and teach. So I will get back with you. That would be really wonderful. And I will be available as well, but I will be the one sitting in the background and being quiet while she speaks to you all about what you need to know to continue with your voice writing. So again, I thank you all. I look forward to continued communication with you during the week. Thank you for being so wonderful about that. And if you do present transcripts, please feel free to send them to me. just save it as a Word document or an RTF document and email it to me at adria@audioscribe.com. And I'll look over it for you and make some suggestions as to what to look for and be of any help that I can for you. So thank you again, ladies. And we will, oh yes, you will have, well, from now on, we will record the sessions now that we are actually getting some things accomplished. So you should see notes from me tomorrow. What do you have to complete in real time for next week? What I will let you all know via Skype what I want you guys to do, but I want you all to continue working, doing at least 1 to 2 dictations every day in real time coach, and gradually increasing your speed as you feel better. Remember that as your accuracy increases, if you're doing, in the high 80s, in the 90s, then you may very well be ready for the next speed up. But again, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. And thank you very much. I am feeling better. You all have a great evening, and I'm sure we'll chat soon. Bye-bye, everyone.